Yeah, you. Oh, you made this movie? The Crow 2024? You were in charge of that? You worked on this film? No way! Hey, I've got a book for you. Yeah, just give this a read, why don't you? I don't know how hard it is to adapt a source material that's already given to you. You have a script right there. It's perfectly laid out. And instead, some other idiot just walks along and pretends like they have a better idea, and every single time that happens, I swear, it fails hard. And they never, ever, ever learn from this mistake. Percy Jackson films didn't do what the author wanted. They failed. The Hobbit trilogy stretched out one book into three nearly 3-hour-long movies. The fans didn't like it. The Halo show canceled after 2 seasons. Assassin's Creed, nobody liked that. And now again with this. Now sure, there's some stuff that's been out there that's deviated from the source material and still struck success. For example, you have Joker from 2019. Was the highest grossing R-rated film for 5 years running. Had $1 billion at the box office, and has a sequel on the way. But it is rare when these cases happen. But in the case of The Crow, no. We don't want any of that. Any of what made the comic amazing, what worked really well in the original film. We need something for modern audiences. Oh, well, how about instead of having a Tina Turner style haircut, Eric Draven now has this mullet. Because that's back, and that's what all the cool kids are doing these days. We could put a bunch of tattoos all over his body and make him look like he just stumbled off of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, like he works at Hot Topic and moonlights as a drug dealer. Yeah, that's the way to go for The Crow. But looks aren't everything. We gotta ruin his personality too. You know that jovial, dark humor that The Crow is known for? Well, let's get rid of that, and we'll just make him a mopey, dweeby, annoying beyond belief loser who just has no charisma whatsoever and does more crying than, well, anything. In the comic and the movie, it was simple. Eric and Shelley were victims of a random act of brutality and died due to the result of gang violence. You had T-Bird, Top Dollar, Fun Boy, Tintin, characters with actual memorable names. This, you don't have any of that. The main villain is played by Danny Houston, who plays, what was his name? Rogue? He is a billionaire businessman? I don't know. It's not really clear. But don't worry. He has a superpower too. He has the power of persuasion infused in him by the devil himself. Because apparently he made a deal with the devil so that if he whispers in your ear something evil, then you immediately want to kill yourself, and that sends your soul to hell, and he doesn't have to go to hell. Wow, dude, if you believe in hell and you're afraid of going there, you could try Jesus. Also, it's really stupid when you consider that Danny Houston, with his deal with the devil thing or whatever, it just shows that they clearly have learned nothing from the last Crow movie. Crow Wicked Prayer, where the main villain was a Satanist and became the Antichrist and whatever. Yeah, the movie sucked. But the film is too afraid of rushing right into all that story and everything that people like about The Crow. No. We gotta take a whole lot of time in this movie just establishing this relationship between Shelley and Eric. Why? We don't need this. I understand they may want to break that trope of we don't want to just fridge the love interest. Fine. But did you really need to waste the first hour of this movie building up everything up until they die? The death of these characters is in the trailer. This should be first act material. Everything you see in the trailer beyond their death when he is the Crow and is killing guys, that's the last 20 minutes of the movie. They are so weird with how they structured this film. The first hour of it is this boring garbage love story where these two characters that we know from the comic and the original film who had a happy, healthy relationship. Instead of all that, they are drug addicts. And Shelley has a deep-seated secret, something that's bad business and whatever, and is the reason that Danny Houston is after her. And also a friend of hers took a video of it. Okay, so the biggest issue I have with all of that is the fact that Shelley is now suddenly more connected to this main villain than Eric is. Eric is just strung along because she liked him. She fell in love with him in 20 seconds, and he did the same somehow. So they both break out of this rehab facility together, which is the most unguarded facility ever, and that's where their love story begins. Them being recovered drug addicts, even though they continue to use drugs and whatnot afterward, and living this life. But the problem the story is having is they forgot to make me care about these people. These people are degenerates. If they were truly walking away from all the party scene and the drugs and all that, maybe I could buy into it. Maybe I could understand this is why they work so well together. Maybe they connected in treatment and that's why they are brought so closely together. But unfortunately, that is just not there. And even if it wasn't there in the writing, it's definitely not there in the performances. Bill Skarsgård is a great actor. I'm not gonna lie. Him as Pennywise is one of the creepiest things in any horror movie ever. I even appreciated him in Devil All the Time with Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson and Sebastian Stan, a bunch of people. But between Barbarian, where he's just completely underutilized, and now this, where it feels more like Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones with some of the line delivery.
I'm gonna kill them. Every single one of them.
And not just the men, but the women and the children too.
I'm really having a hard time getting a read on this guy. And it's a shame because his dad's a great actor, his brother's a great actor, and I want to believe he is too. But the chemistry between him and FKA Twigs, that's the actress who plays Shelley, actress. She's a singer. And if you know me and my opinion on singers in movies, I'm not a fan of them. Singers aren't actors. Actors are actors. Don't be hiring singers just to get name recognition. You know those characters from the comic and the movie? Albrecht, Sarah, or if you read the comic, her name is Sherry. Yeah, no, they're not in this movie. In any capacity whatsoever. We don't have the thugs. We don't have the good guys. We just have Eric and Shelley. And we mostly just have Eric. And Shelley sucks. FKA Twigs' performance is not good. It's really annoying. These two actors don't have chemistry, if you even want to call her an actor. Eric should be looking at this chick and saying, okay, you're crazy, I'm out. There's like nothing that really connects them other than just bumping into each other at rehab. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of here. Otherwise these people are gonna kill me. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. I know exactly how to get out of here. I didn't want to until now. It's really weird how this movie kind of hands off the focus from Shelley to Eric, because we start with Shelley and then when they both get killed and Eric comes back, then suddenly we have to focus on Eric, but we don't know much about Eric. We haven't connected with Eric. We haven't really seen any reason as to why he should be connected to this villain other than because Shelley told him so and now they killed her. And now he's on a revenge quest. It's like, okay, we could have skipped that entire first act and just started with the murder and then be on the revenge quest. That's the whole point of The Crow. Why are we wasting time with all this other garbage? The first film and the comic book accomplished more in 5 minutes than this movie did in an hour and a half. Why am I watching this? The whole purpose of The Crow was he comes back, he can't feel pain, he can't be killed unless someone attacks the actual crow that accompanies him. This is not the case. The crow might as well just not even be there. It does virtually nothing other than just every now and then the camera will cut to it or show a shot of it flying through the city, and that's about it. There's really nothing for this crow to do, and it's super annoying. He also just apparently has Deadpool-like powers where he feels all the pain. We see all the gory carnage that's inflicted upon him, and when his injuries heal, he screams in agony. No. But going in, I was trying to remain optimistic because the trailers looked at least a little fun if they were gonna nix all the themes from the original story and whatnot. Can you at least make a cool action film? The trailers implied this was gonna be a John Wick clone. Did we get that? No. Sure, the very end when he's like Crow Prime, all of a sudden he's laying waste to all these guys and everything. And yeah, maybe that could have been fun if I wasn't completely drained by the first hour and a half of misery that this film puts on. By the time it gets to Carnage Candy and him laying waste to people with a Shoto blade and pistols, I just didn't even care anymore. The weirdest part too is like he's in the lobby of a opera house and for some reason they don't hear gunshots. Really? Gunshots are pretty loud. I understand an opera is going to be loud. It's not louder than a gunshot, let alone 50. As I always understood it, the Crow never killed anyone who didn't wrong him. He was always after the people who took out him and Shelly. There was a reason why he was tracking these guys down and trying to take them out. But he's just indiscriminately killing these guards. Like, okay, yeah, fine, they work for Danny Houston, so they're likely bad, but at the same time, they're not the ones who killed him. These are guys just doing their job. Maybe not all of them knew what this guy was up to. It's not like this was his inner circle and we saw him interacting with them in a tight, close bond or anything. It wasn't like that at all. We only ever saw him interacting with his victims and the blonde woman. And it makes sense why Eric is going after the blonde woman, but all these other guys that he's just laying waste to and just viciously disemboweling, decapitating, destroying, did they really deserve that? And as someone who likes John Wick and other over-the-top gory action films, it really shouldn't be that hard of a sell to me that, hey, we're doing all this crazy action. But when you're compromising such a thematically rich story for shock value, I'm out. And it's obvious that this is clearly trying to just rip off a bunch of other action movies. For example, like I said, there's a lot of quick action John Wick style that they showed in the trailer and that they're definitely showcasing in this film, or at least in the third act. In the second act, we have a sequence that is completely ripped right out of Deadpool, where he jumps into a black Chevy Suburban full of the bad guys, and he's literally trying to kill all these people inside the car. Okay, I know I've been going over a lot and maybe getting into too many details, but for those of you who don't want to know anything more and are actually planning on seeing this film, first of all, I'm sorry in advance, but here's your time code. That's where you want to skip to. That'll just take you straight to my final rating of the film, and you'll bypass all the remaining spoilers. That's your time code, and we're going to get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers begin now. So when Eric dies, he goes to this, like, crow purgatory or whatever, and he meets this older gentleman who at first I'm thinking, oh, is this going to be like the cowboy skeleton dude from the comic? No, it's not him. It's just some other random guy. He's kind of like the crow mentor, and the whole time all Eric has to say is, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be the crow. I want to leave. I want to go home. Why did that kind of sound like Jerry Seinfeld?
But I don't want to be a pirate!
He's crying over Shelly being dead. He's crying over having these powers. He's crying over his wounds hurting and everything. Just give me the crow. This isn't him. So his whole plot revolves around this video recording of something Shelly did that involved Danny Houston's character. And this is like end-all be-all blackmail against him if it gets out. So we need to clean all this up before, word gets out. So Eric eventually finds the phone and sees what the video is, because Shelly never told him what it was, never showed him the video or anything. And he watches it and he finds out that Danny Houston used his powers of demonic persuasion to make her kill someone. And the reaction that he has to this is, as he's watching it on the phone, he's going, oh no, or something to that effect. And all I could think of was,
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
Again, not a great performance out of Bill Skarsgård here. Whether he was trying or not, or was just given bad direction, all that came together, it blew up. It didn't work. So the way he finally becomes the Prime Crow is what I'm going to call it, because the whole time he's basically in 3 phases. He's just loser Eric Draven, then he's loser Eric Draven with Deadpool healing factor, and then he's the Crow. In the loser Eric Draven with Deadpool healing factor, he's still bleeding, his injuries hurt, he takes a little bit longer to heal and everything, he's definitely not as fluent with the action and all that. He's finally able to become Crow Prime after going into the Crow purgatory thing, finding the old man that he was talking to, and then they make some blood bond or whatever, and the black blood flows within Eric now, and that's what's bleeding out of his eyes as he's putting it around his face. But then he wakes up in the real world and he doesn't have it around his face, so he just takes tattoo ink and just draws it around. I don't know what the point of that was. But yeah, now he bleeds black, so every time he gets shot, it's just black splattered all over the wall and whatever. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So now the Crow is fueled by blood. It's not just fueled by vengeance. None of this works. None of this makes sense. So after he's John Wicked his way through all these goons, he gets down to Danny Houston's character, and they somehow have a battle in the Crow Purgatory. I have no idea how that happened, because Eric has only ever gotten there by dying. or coming close to death at least. But somehow, through the power of plot convenience, he grabs Danny Houston and they crash through a mirror and immediately roll into that universe. How? The dude who he made the blood oath with, the guy that was just in this world before him, no longer there. Now all of a sudden Eric's just in tune with this world and he can teleport here and there and everything. How he takes down Danny Houston is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. He just starts pounding on him like Iron Man beating up the Hulk in Age of Ultron, and then just shoves him into a puddle of water and then brings him up and then beats on him again and then shoves him down again. And then after enough of that, all these weird black demonic hands come up and grab him and drag him down into presumably hell. And whoa. Is that what the Crow is now? The Crow is in tune with some demonic supernatural force? What? When did we get there? And now after he's taken this guy down, the bargain is fulfilled and now Shelly is able to come back to life and go live her life, but Eric can't go back to the real world because that's the deal he made, and that's just not how the story's supposed to go, dude. The whole point was Eric's on a revenge quest to make things right and take down the guys who wronged him, and then after that, he's made his peace, and he can die peacefully and spend the rest of eternity with his girl. But no, now he's just trapped in this purgatory limbo place or whatever. Meanwhile, she gets to live out the rest of her days. It cuts to them being pulled out of the river and her being revived and him laying dead right next to her. And the guy who revived her was the dude who was in the purgatory world. And now I don't know what to make of this. Was this all a dream sequence? Did him doing all that all of a sudden change the reality that they live in and that never really happened and they don't have to worry? It is never really clarified or explained in any capacity whatsoever. That's kind of just where the movie ends. As she wakes up, she cries, it cuts back to him in purgatory world or whatever. And then all of a sudden they show a bunch of crows fly, one swoops the screen, covers it in black, credits. Wow. I saw this with a buddy of mine and we just kept turning to each other like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Every now and then we'd whisper a snide comment to each other about what was happening on screen so as to not disturb the people around us. But there was one guy in our row who was just laughing every now and then at whatever was on screen. And I think another person down in front was chuckling a couple of times too. And when this film is not exactly a comedy and you get people laughing, it's probably not a good thing. Did I have high hopes going in? Not entirely. I knew that this was going to be a remake of a beloved classic. It was taking a really weird modern angle to it. And I was just hoping that if you're going to sacrifice the themes and all the aspects that make the original great, that you would at least give us some good action, because the trailer marketed itself as a John Wick clone, a lot like Monkey Man did. But this just didn't deliver on that in any capacity. It was so miserable to sit through, and I really just am baffled at how bad this was. I seriously was hoping this would be the second best Crow film, because the other three that followed the original were not good. The worst of which being Wicked Prayer. Wow, I hated that movie. But the fact that not only is this sitting below Salvation in my rating, but also City of Angels, which was abysmal, is mind-blowing. And really the only reason it's down underneath that one is because City of Angels was at least shorter. That's our final score out of 10. I'm giving this one a 2. So that's my thoughts on the Crow 2024 remake. I did not think that this was going to be all that good going in, but it would at least have some fun action. I was sorely mistaken, sorely disappointed. This is up there with one of the biggest disappointments of the year, along with Borderlands. And currently, this is the second worst film I have seen this year, just slightly behind Madam Web. I did write a review for this on Letterboxd, as I have for many of the other films I've watched. I post a lot more reviews on that platform than I ever do on YouTube. I mainly focus YouTube on a lot of the newer releases and whatnot, but on Letterboxd, I'm reviewing literally everything I'm watching, whether it's something I've watched for the first time from 1995, or I'm rewatching my favorite movie for the 15th time. I'm always posting a review, so I highly recommend clicking the link in the description to follow my Letterboxd account. I have an Instagram account as well. I'm also on Serialized if you like TV shows, and GG if you like video games. Be sure to like this video if you like this review. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this movie, whether you've seen it or not, whether you're excited or not, whether you were pissed off and disappointed, or pleasantly surprised. I would like to see how our opinions differ. Of course, don't be going at each other's throats over it. It's just a movie after all. I'll try to have another review up this weekend for Blink Twice, the new Channing Tatum movie directed by Zoe Kravitz. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully better than this. But until then, God be with you and take care.